What happens when you take the intensity of sports, the obsession of fandom, and the surreal style of modern horror and throw them all together in one movie? You get Him, a film that's as wild to look at as it is frustrating to follow.
Yeah, we playing some football!
Don't have to do this.
I've never been more certain of anything in my life.
And how bad does Cameron Cade want it? I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
I'm not just gonna give it to you. You got to take it from
I
me.
ain't a killer, but don't push me.
What if I say no? Run. Think of it as a gift from the God.
Killer, but don't push me. So what are you willing to sacrifice?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we finally have a sports horror movie on our hands. That's right, Him, the new film directed by Justin Tipping, produced by Jordan Peele and starring Tyriq Withers, Marlon Wayans, Julia Fox, and Tim Heidecker is here. I was really excited to check this one out when I first saw the trailer, though I'll admit I got kind of sick of seeing it since it played before what felt like every single movie the past few months. Still, the setup looked promising. Sports and horror colliding, I hadn't seen that before, and the combination felt like it could lead to something wild. Unfortunately, the final product was a bit of a mixed bag. I didn't hate it nearly as much as most critics did, but I also wouldn't say I really liked it either. Let's break it down. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a review. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, check out my Patreon. You can join for just $1 a month, and it really helps me keep making these videos. The story follows Cameron Cade, a rising quarterback whose dreams are shattered after a deranged fan attacks him, leaving him with a serious injury. Just when it looks like his career is over, Cameron is offered a lifeline by his idol, legendary player Isaiah White, who invites him to train at a secluded facility. At first, it feels like a second chance, but as the training grows harsher and Isaiah's behavior turns more controlling, Cameron finds himself pulled into a dangerous world where ambition, obsession, and violence blur together, and escaping might cost him everything. So the real star of Him is the visual style. This movie looks stunning. Justin Tipping and his cinematography team go all out with surreal imagery, striking lighting, and some genuinely inventive ideas that stick with you. There's this recurring X-ray style filter that gives certain violent moments a really visceral, unsettling edge, and it's something I haven't seen used this effectively before. The production design also deserves a shout out. The compound has this strange maze-like architecture that feels dreamlike but oppressive, and there are plenty of shadowy corners where eerie figures lurk. On top of that, the satanic mascot-inspired character designs play brilliantly into the sports theme, adding to the unease. Even when the story was losing me, I couldn't take my eyes off how the movie looked. For horror fans, the gore is another big win. Early on, you get a few brutal glimpses as Cameron's training becomes harsher and more violent, but by the finale, the gloves come off. The last 5 minutes turn into an absolute bloodbath, over the top, messy, and extremely satisfying if you're a gorehound. Honestly, I wish the movie leaned into that energy a bit sooner, because the ending proves it can deliver when it wants to. The cast also brings a lot to the table. Tyriq Withers, who I last saw in I Know What You Did Last Summer earlier this year, really impressed me here. He carries the movie as Cameron, showing a believable descent into this cult-like mindset as he becomes more violent and consumed by success. But the standout for me was Marlon Wayans. I love when comedians go dark, and this might be his most sinister role yet. As the coach, he's magnetic and terrifying at the same time. He commands the screen, and you can absolutely see why athletes would follow him despite his ruthlessness. He's brutal in the way he runs his training regime, but he also brings this darkly comedic edge that makes the character weirdly entertaining even when he's being monstrous. I also appreciated the movie's attempt at commentary on sports fandom. It digs into the cult-like obsession some fans have with their athletes, painting their faces, worshipping them like gods, and then turning hostile when their heroes retire or are replaced. The film cleverly exaggerates these ideas into horror territory, showing fans as threatening figures whose adoration curdles into violence. That perspective gives some of the movie's scariest moments a grounded edge, because we've all seen how real-world sports culture can cross the line into obsession. On top of that, the film puts a darker spin on familiar sports lingo. Words like GOAT and him aren't just used as hype terms anymore. They're reframed with satanic and godlike undertones, making athletes into larger-than-life figures with divine or demonic energy. This twist adds a layer of religious allegory to the story, suggesting that the world of sports can feel like modern worship. It's one of the sharper aspects of the movie's writing, and it plays nicely into the surreal horror aesthetic. But now we get into the things I didn't like so much. As much as I love the visuals, they're also the film's biggest weakness. Justin Tipping clearly leaned into style over substance. There are moments that feel like the movie is pausing just to show off a cool shot, a surreal montage, or a music video-esque sequence. Now don't get me wrong, they look amazing, but too often they come at the expense of story momentum. Instead of pulling you deeper into the world, they take you out of it, reminding you that you're watching something designed to look good rather than something trying to engage you emotionally. After a while, it starts feeling less like a horror film and more like a flashy cinematography reel stitched together, and that lack of balance really hurts the experience. And speaking of story, that's where him stumbles the most. I don't mind abstract storytelling, but this one is pretty messy. Huge stretches of the film left me wondering what exactly it was trying to say or where it was going. Scenes sometimes feel stitched together without clear purpose, like fragments of an idea that never fully form. Characters deliver cryptic dialogue that's more confusing than profound, and instead of building intrigue, it often feels like the movie is stalling for time. When the film finally does try to explain itself, it comes across muddled and half-baked. Instead of intriguing ambiguity, it just feels incoherent. I found myself not only confused but disengaged, which is the last thing you want from a movie that's aiming to be both stylish and thought-provoking. And then there's the ending. After sitting through a confusing narrative, I was hoping for a payoff that tied things together or at least gave me something to chew on. Instead, the explanation we get is underwhelming and leaves way more questions than answers, not in the cool thought-provoking way, but in a frustrating way. The reveal feels rushed and unearned, like the film suddenly remembered it needed to offer some kind of resolution but didn't have a strong one prepared. By the time the credits rolled, I felt more annoyed than reflective. It made me question whether the filmmakers had a clear plan all along, or if they were just hoping the audience would accept vibes in place of storytelling. Unfortunately, that lack of payoff makes the entire journey feel less rewarding in hindsight. So overall, Him is a film I admire more than I enjoy. The visuals are stunning, the gore is satisfying, and the performances, especially from Tyriq Withers and Marlon Wayans, are strong. But the movie collapses under the weight of its own ambition. It wants to be both stylish and profound, but ends up prioritizing style so heavily that the substance gets lost. If you're into experimental horror and don't mind abstract storytelling that leans more on vibes than clarity, you might find enough to appreciate here. But if you're looking for a strong narrative to match the striking visuals, this one probably won't do it for you. I'm giving Him a 2.5 out of 5, but those are just my thoughts. What did you think of Him? Did the visuals work for you, or did you find the story too frustrating to get invested in? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, check out my Patreon. You can join for just $1 a month, and it really helps me keep making these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.